we really miss everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean our colleagues, but also the audience. You know, we have a really special connection with our audience. They get to see us every week, and we get to see you too. You know, we recognize people in the audience, and we get to know a lot of the people that come to our concerts. And it's, you know, we can make music online and everything, but it's not the same as having an experience together.
And Katie, I'm assuming you feel much the same way.
Very much the same. It is incredibly sad that we're not on stage and thriving in our community right now, but we are trying to find our way, and every little thing we do is important to us. So
I saw a clip of the San Francisco Symphony playing the William Tell overture in a way that I've never seen before. I'd like to actually pause now so we can play a little bit of that clip, and then we'll pick it up on the back end. Jessica, you were one of the brains behind the mission to put music out there in this different way. Tell me how this incredible William Tell overture came together.
Well, we had, you know, we got together, the musicians got together and really discussed how we could be there for our community, and how we could perform for everyone in a way that would be meaningful, and not to take away from the, you know, political and social climate, but we felt that we needed to offer something to everybody that was relatable. And, you know, we're all at home with our children or our pets or our partners, and, you know, we're all kind of doing the same thing. And we wanted to just kind of show something a bit relatable, what we've been up to in the pandemic, good and bad.
It looked so fun. I feel like I've seen you on the stage many, many times. You're always poised and looking perfect and not a lot of emotion coming through. Through this video, I was able to meet your spouses, your pets. I got a peek into where you live. I mean, Katie, I must imagine that, you know, you're opening up a lot of yourself that you're not able to bring on the stage.
yeah, I think you're right about that, Gasia. And we loved that element of it, connecting with our community personally. So not just musically, but like you said, opening up our homes, our lives, our children, our gardens, and just kind of the general silliness that you kind of have to mask when you're on stage, but is just there in every human. So that was just a thrill for us.
And it's the perfect piece of music because, look, I've heard it in movies, I've heard it in cartoons, I've heard it, you know, in auto insurance commercials. So, you know, there is nothing more relatable. But I imagine that the technical aspect of pulling off that sort of a performance would be just mind-boggling. Jessica, can you tell me a little bit about what all it took to put you guys together in that way?
You know, I think that we just really asked everyone to be themselves and share honestly a little bit of what we've been doing in a lighthearted kind of way. And we really wanted to showcase everyone's individual personalities, and it was easier than we thought it would be. You know, everyone really came together, but the work that our video editing and sound editing teams was exceptional. So a big thanks to them.
What kind of response have you been getting to it?
Yeah, enormous response. I mean, I don't know about you, Katie, but I had so many texts and messages and emails from friends around the country that I hadn't heard from in a really long time, saying, "Oh my gosh, I saw you and it was amazing, and thank you." And that was really the best part of it all.
Katie, did you appreciate, you know, kind of the outpouring of love? Because I know that artists miss being able to make their art, but it just, as the months go on, I feel like I miss going to the symphony more than ever. It has just become this huge hole in my life, even though, I mean, maybe we went 3 times a year, right? It's not like, you know, we didn't go every weekend, but for those times that we did go, I just look back and I think, oh, we were so lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I caught wind of this project, I was personally thrilled because it was just a chance for all, you know, 100 plus of us to connect again in a new way. And it was important to us, and we loved it. It was great.
I loved it too. I loved it too. Let me talk about something else new that the San Francisco Symphony is doing, and that's the Currents series. And I guess, Jessica, can I ask you to explain a little bit about it and how it merges, you know, classical music with other types of music that we might not think are very much interwoven?
Yeah, absolutely. We have been in a lot of discussions, you know, with our artistic leadership at the Symphony, who had this really great idea of putting on several different performances for our community that our community, again, can really relate to. And classical music for a long time, I think, has been really kind of kept in sort of a small box. And it doesn't have to just be European music. It can be so many different things. And we really wanted to share that with everybody and involve people in our community that are doing that. And we wanted to work with them.
And what's that experience been like? Actually, back to Jessica. What's that experience been like?
I've learned so much, actually. Excuse me. There's all that our artistic partners asked for is to come with an open mind, you know, and to really experience maybe a different kind of music. And so you get to play some Chinese music, which maybe I wouldn't get to do normally, or some hip hop. You know, my husband is a violist and he played hip hop viola, maybe the first time ever.
Yeah.
You know, so, and maybe the last, but anyway, it was still pretty cool to do that and to experience what's happening in our communities in person.
Katie, what was the highlight for you through the Currents series?
I have not personally participated in the Currents playing, but I've been an avid bystander, and it's just wonderful to see our community reflected in our work. You know, from the pipa, the Chinese music, to the hip hop, to our Viva Mexico Current series. It feels good. It feels good to be outreaching and bringing in and integrating with our community.
I know for just the longest time, I mean, I probably grew up thinking this. People thought that to go to the symphony, you have to be rich, you have to be older, you know, you have to already know what you're going to hear. My parents, you know, dragged us basically to concerts all our lives, you know, from very, very small classical music concerts, you know, like the local church, all the way to San Francisco Symphony. And as children, we were, you know, sort of kicking the back of the seat in front of us. We didn't really get what was going on. But for anyone who hasn't heard, San Francisco Symphony has just revolutionized the way people can experience music. And this means music for families. This means, you know, playing along to popular movies as they play on the screen. One of my favorite things that I've ever had the chance to do with my children when it comes to live music is seeing Star Wars on the screen above you as San Francisco Symphony played the score. It was musically life-changing. So if either one of you wants to jump in first and talk about what an experience like that is. I think you both may have played in the Star Wars series. Tell me about that. Katie, let's start with you, Katie. Tell me about playing Star Wars.
Well, first of all, I was born just around the time it came out. So obviously I have that connection, and I'm a huge fan. We're a Star Wars family here. And it's fun to play such iconic music. And to see, what's the most fun is to see the audience. You know, they're blown away. And while we always hope that people follow up and come see other live performances, it's just a really, it's a neat way to connect to people. So it was fun. It
was, I mean, as much fun as you must have been having on the stage, my mind was blown. That was actually, I think it was maybe 2 summers ago by now. Mm-hmm. And my sons had never seen Star Wars yet, because we thought we're going to be responsible and wait until they hit age 13. And then as soon as I saw that pop up on San Francisco Symphony's calendar, I thought, you know what? We're doing this early. And it was magical with a capital M. Jessica, I have to ask you, you play French horn, and I think specifically when it comes to Star Wars, that music of the French horn, there are some haunting, melodic, I mean, there's a lot of you in there. Tell me a little bit about your special part as the whole symphony played Star Wars. I mean, what characters were you key in bringing to life?
Yeah, there are some moments. You know, when a horn player sees Star Wars, you know, on the schedule, I'm telling you, like 8-9 months in advance, you know, our radar is out there. We've got the music. You know, there's no just showing up. We are super prepared. There's a lot to do. There's Princess Leia's theme. Which I'm sure my colleagues do a beautiful job also of playing in the brass section. It's pretty brass heavy.
Yeah.
But to get to do that, and like Katie said, to get to feel the energy of the audience when you're on stage, which we do all the time. But I think for these particular concerts, we might bring in people, excuse me, who may not come, or this may be their first time, and this may be their first experience ever seeing live music. And I think music is in every human. And so, you know, you don't have to know anything about classical music or music at all to come and enjoy it. And so to see those people experiencing live music while getting to play these iconic horn melodies, it was pretty special.
It was incredible because I wasn't intimidated at all. Like for me, you know, as soon as I get my tickets, I look at the program, I try to research. Sometimes I even kind of pre-listen to just so that I know what I'm going to be hearing. It's almost like I'm studying for a quiz. For those nights that we saw Star Wars, it was nothing but joy. I snuck a peek at my little son sitting next to me. His mind was blown. I mean, you know, this is going out to a nationwide audience. So if there is anyone who is lucky enough to live in the San Francisco Bay Area, or if, you know, your symphony at home, wherever you are, does this sort of thing, do it. If you've never been before, try it once. Like I said, it was musically life-changing. Let's talk about sort of the nuts and bolts of San Francisco Symphony. This past, you know, 6-7 months caught your organization at a time of major transformation. Your longtime beloved music director, Michael Tilson Thomas, stepped down. That had been planned in advance. And now you have a new music director. Jessica, I'll start with you. Tell me about having a new music director in the time of COVID. Have you met? Have you played? What's happening?
Well, we have not played, you know, together in the last 7 months, but we have all met. You know, Asapek Hassan is our new music director, and he has been here on several occasions. We've met. It's been a challenge, and I think it's been really sad also because we had this huge European tour we were supposed to go on, and we really wanted to honor Michael's legacy of being here for 25 years. And we were unable to do that. And we've been in contact with Michael a lot as the musicians, and I'm sure we'll plan to do something for him at another time. And he will be back, of course. But it's been sad to not be able to give a proper send-off to our music director and a proper welcome to our new one. And so I think we're all just waiting for the time we can be on stage, and there's going to be a lot of celebrations.
And Katie, you know, it strikes me that you as musicians, you're all going through a major change. I mean, it's almost, I was going to say, it's almost like you got a new boss. You did get a new boss. And something as individual and personal as how you play. Katie, can you talk a little bit about, you knew how you were faring under, you know, Maestro Michael Tilson Thomas. Now you have someone new with the baton at the head. You know, as an artist, do you think about how that might affect your work, even though you can't sit down and say, all right, look, give it to me straight. What do you think?
I think that not being on stage together, there's not much to say about that, but it's definitely like exciting to think about, like, what is the new music director going to bring to the table? How will I personally be affected as an artist? What will I change? How will I react? Those are all like very interesting questions. But like Jessica said, we're just really excited to have him, and we're looking forward to celebrating a lot these transitions and, you know, moving forward.
Do you have a first program date or no?
We don't have a first program date. We don't. We are eagerly awaiting a time when we can begin to plan that out officially and know that it's going to happen.
So what are you doing in the meantime? How are you still making your music?
Well, it's a bit difficult for me personally, because my 5.5-year-old is just clinging to mom hardcore, because this is like amazing for him. I've usually left the house at night to go perform, and now mom is here all the time. So it's a bit more difficult for me to practice at home, but I make do when I can.
And Jessica, you also have a 5-year-old who I assume is also very much glued to mom.
Yes, very similar. In fact, our sons are the exact same age. I think maybe three and a half weeks, born 3.5 weeks apart. But yes, it has been difficult. It's been lovely to be home, like Katie said, at night. You know, we're usually zipping off to work, and it's nice to be home with our kids. But I'm finding that I'm getting into a little bit of a routine now at home. And there was a time where I took a little bit of a break and let my body kind of recover from playing the French horn for 30 something years. And now I'm really getting back into a routine of starting to really, really look forward to going back to work. And I've also been doing a little bit of practicing out in Golden Gate Park. Sorry for anyone who came across a French horn player in Sharon Meadow, but I find that most people don't mind, and it gets me out of my four walls of my office here, and allows me to focus. And I've had some good conversations because of it.
Do people like drop a dollar in your case, or do they have any idea that they have, you know, a world-renowned musician playing there in Golden Gate Park?
You know, I think because it's San Francisco, there's such a wide, diverse, you know, population of people here. It's sort of like, oh, a French horn player, like, of course. And, you know, some people stop and listen, and some people just, you know, keep going. So it's been a really lovely thing to do.
It sounds like it must be so rewarding. It's almost like you made your own stage.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. And as long as, you know, I'm far away from everybody and, you know, staying far away, it's been kind of lovely.
Now, Katie, you're on the strings. You're the assistant principal viola for San Francisco Symphony. Have you been able to meet up with your fellow string players, or is it just, you know, sort of you at home?
Been able to play with my fellow string players a little at a distance, outside a little, and recorded a few symphony projects in like very, very small distance groups. But yeah, I mean, even just talking to my colleagues is a pleasure, going on a walk with them, you know, and then bringing the instrument into the mix is just like the ideal. So that has happened a few times, and it has been glorious.
Do you find that you're playing music now and thinking of that one time you played it on the stage, or that one time this was, are you taken back to performances of the past when you're playing just yourself at home?
I am, actually, and we put together for MTT's kind of virtual goodbye, we put together part of a Mahler symphony virtually. We all recorded our own parts, and our editing team did a beautiful job of syncing it together. And it was really emotional to kind of play that same piece that we should have been playing in person and ending the 25 years that Michael had with us. It was emotional, you know? Yeah, I did think about it.
Yeah. How about you, Jessica? The same?
Yes. I think when you're performing a different program every week and you're right in the thick of it, it's easy to be just so focused on what you're working on. And we get asked this question a lot, you know, tell me about this best performance or one that stands out. And of course we have them, but for some reason now, like Katie said, it's been much more emotional. And because there's been that absence in our life, I could name 20 right now. You know, I'll hear a snippet of a piece on KTVU and be like, oh, I remember that time we had that amazing performance and so-and-so was conducting, and this stuff just starts coming back in a really emotional way. And I think playing that Mahler that Katie said, it was surprisingly emotional because, you know, you're at home with a click track. What that means is you're listening to, you know, sort of a recording and like a tempo beat, and you're playing your one little part, and then you see it all put together, and it was emotional.
And I don't want to tell you how many times I've cried to the radio. So
Aw.
I mean, KTFC, it's a local classical music station, and it's just incredible because when I hear something on the radio that I had the grand pleasure of seeing inside Davies Symphony Hall, I am taken back to that one concert, and I remember how old my boys were, or I remember how, you know, dinner after the show was horrible. It is like I'm transported. So let me do this. Finally, I'd like to ask you both for where you would point people who are hearing this conversation and think, you know what, I want to learn a little bit more, either about classical music or symphonic music, or, you know, anything that you would like to point our viewers toward to sort of broaden their interest and knowledge of the symphony, wherever they may be, since we have some, you know, frankly, we have some time to do it online. So if you would like, Katie, I'd like to start with you.
Sure. Well, the San Francisco Symphony has a YouTube channel, and that's where all of our highlights and fun reels are, and all of the virtual stuff that we've been doing. And, you know, if somebody wanted to hop in there, it would be an interesting journey backward, like see our virtual stuff for the first time and then go back to our live performances. You can watch in any order. But the current series is being featured, I think, on the San Francisco Symphony website, or at least you can learn more about that. And yeah, I mean, just watching a video of us perform at this point would be amazing. There's so many things to latch onto, but that's one of them.
Okay, Jessica, what would you like to add to that for people who want to hear and see more?
I would suggest also going to the Symphony website, where individual musicians have released their own performances. And you may be able to even follow individual musicians from those links and see what we've been up to individually. And I think a really invaluable resource is the Keeping Score series that we recorded as a symphony, as an organization. They're just fantastic. You hear the music, and not only that, but you sort of get a little bit of a background, you know, what the composer was thinking when they wrote it, what was happening at the time in the world when it was written. All these little, oh gosh, I never knew there was a piccolo solo there. I never understood that the viola played with the timpani there or something. And they're all extremely well done. If you wanted to learn a little bit more while listening, I would highly recommend that.
I think I watched the, I'm sure the symphony did one on Aaron Copland. And I think in that one, Michael Tilson Thomas might have dark hair. And look, you know, I only know him as he looks today. And I thought, oh my gosh, he was so young. And then it struck me, he has been doing this for so long. What a gift to the Bay Area. So I totally second your recommendation. The Keeping Score series is incredible. I was selfish. I started with the composers that I know I like. And then from there, I branched off to the guys that I don't know. So I learned a lot. I could talk with you both forever, but I know you each have 5-year-olds behind the door waiting to cuddle you. So the biggest of all thank yous to you both, Jessica Valeri, French horn with San Francisco Symphony, and Katie Kadarouch, assistant principal viola with San Francisco Symphony. Thank you both. The minute you're able to be back on the stage, let me know, because I would love to be there in the audience cheering you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you both.
All right. Bye.